You know, you wouldn't think something like a pair of shoes would, cause such a stir culturally.
Yeah.
But that's what we're looking at today in our deep dive. We're going to be looking at these fascinating and sometimes tricky gift-giving traditions, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to be focusing on shoes specifically in Chinese culture.
Okay.
And we have some excerpts from a personal account that
Yeah.
really highlights how important it is to be aware of these nuances.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's amazing how these everyday objects, can take on such profound meanings in different cultures.
Yeah.
And shoes are no exception. The symbolism of shoes in Chinese culture goes way beyond just, being a fashion statement.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's unpack this a little bit. Our source dives right into the core belief here, and it's a pretty strong one. Gifting shoes is a major no-no
Right.
because it symbolizes walking away from the relationship.
Yeah, and you're almost, giving them the means to leave,
Oh.
which you can imagine might create some tension.
Yeah.
Especially if the giver isn't aware of this superstition.
Yeah.
Some scholars suggest that this belief might actually be rooted in ancient Chinese associations of shoes with journeys to the afterlife,
Oh, wow.
which, makes them inappropriate gifts for the living.
Right. Yeah. So you're basically saying, hit the road, Jack, with a brand new pair of kicks.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I can see how that would be misconstrued.
Right.
But here's where it gets really interesting because there's this ritualistic fix
Oh, yeah.
to negate the bad luck.
Mm-hmm.
The recipient gives the giver a small amount of money.
Right.
And it's essentially like they're buying the shoes. So
Yeah.
they can kind of sidestep that whole walking away symbolism.
Right. It's really a symbolic act of neutralizing that negative energy
Yeah.
that's associated with the gift.
Mm.
And what's so interesting is the consistency
Yeah.
of this ritual across different situations.
Mhm.
Our source mentions, their ex-boyfriend's family,
Yeah.
a really pricey pair of Yeezys from their employer,
Oh, wow.
and it's always 10 yen.
Huh. It's like a cultural code. Right, like a way of acknowledging the tradition and showing respect. But what I thought was interesting, too, is that our source continues this ritual even though they personally aren't all that superstitious.
That's a great point. It's
Yeah.
a great observation, and I think it speaks to the internal conflict
Mm-hmm.
many of us face when we're navigating cultural traditions.
Yeah.
On one hand, you want to uphold these customs
Right.
and maintain that harmony, especially, within your family
Yeah.
or close relationships. But then you have that personal questioning,
Yeah.
that inner struggle to reconcile tradition with your own individual beliefs.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, how many of us actually do things just out of habit or social obligation,
Right.
even if we don't really subscribe to that underlying belief.
It's like we're carrying these echoes of cultural, rules that have been passed down through generations.
Yes,
And they affect us, in ways that we might not even realize.
exactly. It's fascinating how deeply ingrained these traditions can become.
Mm-hmm.
And it really shows you how powerful the role of culture is, in shaping our values and our perceptions and even our everyday interactions.
Yeah.
But it also highlights the importance of self-reflection,
Yeah.
examining those beliefs that we have,
Yeah.
that are ingrained, and understanding where they come from.
Right. So we've got this really complex interplay of superstition and respect for tradition and personal beliefs,
Yeah.
all wrapped up in a pair of shoes.
It's really a microcosm of that larger cultural landscape,
Yeah.
don't you say? It
Totally.
really makes you realize that even simple acts like giving a gift
Mm.
can be full of symbolic meaning and, lead to misinterpretations.
It really does make you think twice about those impulse buys on Amazon.
Yeah.
But you know what I found really compelling about our source's story is their approach to giving back. They're incredibly generous,
Yeah.
always donating to those in need. But they have a specific preference for donating physical items rather than money.
And that's where things get even more interesting. Considering, this whole shoe superstition,
Right.
they're willing to give away these high-quality shoes.
Mhm.
So essentially bending that rule, for a greater good.
Yeah, it seems like compassion overrides superstition in this case.
Yeah.
They even say, I can overlook the ritual when it's for communities that, may not have the privilege to afford nice things.
I love that quote.
Yeah.
It highlights this complex interplay between cultural beliefs and individual values.
Mm-hmm.
They're acknowledging that tradition, but they're also prioritizing the needs of others.
Yeah.
And it really challenges the idea that traditions are rigid and can't change.
It's a powerful reminder that traditions do evolve and adapt over time,
Yes.
and they're influenced by individual interpretations and, societal needs. It's like tradition is a living thing,
It is.
constantly being shaped by the people who are practicing it.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's like they found this balance,
Yeah.
between respecting the tradition,
Right.
but also like addressing this real need that's in the community.
Yeah. And what's interesting, too, is how they approach it.
Yeah.
They don't just give away any old shoes.
Yeah.
They choose high-quality items,
Yeah.
often things that they've purchased themselves,
Oh, wow.
which I think shows this recognition that even within a culture,
Yeah.
individual preferences and motivations can really vary.
Right.
It's not just about meeting a basic need, but it's about respecting the dignity and agency of the person who's receiving it.
Yeah.
So by offering these items as thoughtful gifts
Right.
rather than just handouts,
Right.
it creates a more meaningful exchange.
Yeah. They even talk about how some people, feel more comfortable actually buying the items, even if it's just for a small fee. It's like it gives them that sense of ownership
Yeah.
and participation
Exactly.
rather than, just being on the receiving end of charity.
It's a really nuanced perspective, I think, on the psychology of
Yeah.
giving and receiving, because it challenges, that traditional model of charity where we're often focused solely on material needs.
Right.
But this recognizes the importance of individual choice and the emotional aspect of
Yeah.
these transactions.
It's like that sense of pride you get when you find like a great deal at a thrift store.
Yes.
It's not just about the price,
Right.
but it's the satisfaction of making a smart choice.
Exactly. And our source really seems to get this.
Yeah.
They talk about how they take the time to present the items nicely.
Yeah.
Almost like gifts, to add that feeling.
Yeah.
They recognize the power of those small gestures
Right.
to make a difference in how people experience generosity.
It's really thoughtful.
It is.
And it goes beyond, just the material need. They're considering the psychological and emotional well-being of the people that they're helping.
Exactly. And it ties back to that shoe superstition in a really interesting way, because while they adhere to the tradition in their personal life,
Right.
they're willing to kind of bend those rules
Yeah.
when it comes to helping others, which suggests that their values of compassion and empathy
Right.
override that, potential for bad luck.
It's like they're saying, look, I get it. I can navigate these cultural nuances.
Yeah.
But when it comes to helping other people, practicality and compassion come first.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a powerful message, and it shows how complex these beliefs can be and how context can influence our actions.
Yeah.
It also challenges the idea that traditions are static and unchanging.
It's like tradition is this living thing,
Totally.
constantly being shaped and reinterpreted
Yeah.
by the people who are practicing it.
Exactly. And that's what I think makes this deep dive so fascinating. It's not just about learning about one specific superstition.
Right.
It's about these broader themes of cultural identity,
Yeah.
personal values, and the evolving nature of traditions.
It makes me think about all these, these hidden rules
Oh, yeah.
that we might be following in our own lives
Absolutely.
that are shaping how we interact with each other without us even realizing it.
Yeah. And it encourages us to be more curious about the world around us,
Right.
to ask questions,
Yeah.
be open to different perspectives, and recognize that even something as simple as giving a gift
Yeah.
can have these, these really deep cultural implications.
It's like we're all navigating this cultural dance,
We are.
trying to find that balance between honoring tradition,
Right.
but also staying true to our own values.
And that's the beauty of cultural exchange.
Yeah.
It's not about erasing our differences.
Right.
It's about finding ways to bridge those differences through understanding and respect.
It's like that saying, travel's the only thing you buy that makes you richer.
Yeah,
But in this case, it's cultural understanding.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And it's so true. The more we learn about other cultures,
Yeah.
the more we can kind of broaden our own worldview and develop this deeper appreciation for the richness and diversity
Right.
of human experience.
Yeah.
And sometimes the most unexpected objects,
Yeah.
like a pair of shoes, can be the key to unlocking that understanding.
Speaking of shoes,
Yeah.
our source shared this really interesting story
Oh, yeah.
about their ex-boyfriend's family. They were shoemakers,
Right.
and they would often gift them with these like limited edition or test shoes.
Yeah, which must have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right. And even within the family,
Yeah.
where you might expect a little more flexibility,
Right.
they still followed that 10 yen ritual.
Huh.
Really shows how ingrained these beliefs can be,
Yeah.
even within close-knit groups.
It really does speak to the power of tradition,
Yeah.
how these customs are passed down,
Yeah.
almost like a reflex.
And it makes you wonder, what other everyday objects
Yeah.
hold this kind of symbolic weight
Right.
that we might not even be aware of.
Right, because every culture has its own unique set of beliefs and practices,
It does. You get-
associated with different objects and colors and numbers and gestures and all sorts of things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like there's this whole other language,
Right.
woven into our everyday lives
Yeah,
that we don't even realize.
exactly. And it makes you realize that, something as simple as a gift
Yeah.
can carry a lot of, cultural baggage.
So what would you say is like the biggest takeaway for our listeners today from this deep dive
Yeah.
into shoe superstitions and cultural nuances?
I think the key is really approaching gift giving
Yeah.
with a sense of curiosity
Right.
and cultural sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
It's recognizing that not everyone
Right.
shares the same interpretations or values.
So don't just assume that your go-to gift is going to be a hit with everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Take the time to learn a little bit
Right.
about the cultural background
Yeah.
of the person you're giving the gift to.
Mm-hmm.
A little research can go a long way
Yeah.
in avoiding any faux pas
Right.
and making sure that your gift is received,
Mm-hmm.
in the spirit it was intended.
So it's really about showing respect and understanding,
It is.
which helps build those relationships.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
you know what?
Yeah.
It can actually make gift giving a lot more fun and meaningful
Yeah.
because it's like you're going on this little cultural adventure,
Yeah.
uncovering these hidden meanings and traditions.
Instead of just grabbing, the first thing you see
Totally.
on Amazon,
Yeah.
you're really putting thought into it.
Yes.
Making it more personal.
Exactly. And who knows, you might even find out some interesting traditions
All right.
within your own family or
Yeah.
culture that you never knew about.
Maybe I need to finally ask my grandma about that whole no knives as gifts thing.
I bet there's a story there.
I bet there is.
That's what I love about these deep dives.
Yeah.
They spark our curiosity, encourage us to look at different perspectives,
Yeah.
and remind us that there's always something to learn
Mm-hmm.
about the world, even in the most unexpected places.
So keep those minds open, folks.
Yeah.
And remember, a gift that is given with, cultural awareness and sensitivity
Mm-hmm.
is a gift that truly resonates.
Absolutely.
Happy gift giving, everyone.